Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have a ZAC versus a Hecarim, and I'm going to show you why you should be playing ZAC like a farming jungler. Because he's not really a ganking jungler in the way that everyone thinks he is. Everyone thinks, hey, max E, spam gank, 5 CS a minute, 4 CS a minute. I mean, in theory, could you do this? Yes. But those of us who remember ZAC from many moons ago know that the guy, this is one of the best, if not the best ZAC on the server, so if he resets, you can reset too. Just try and minimize it as much as you can. Basically, yes, you're looking to essentially get points into E, right? Which you're not going to get by sitting in a side lane bush being like, can I gank now? You've got to sequence appropriately. You've got to sequence well. And because of the fact that you have that ability to move around the map quickly and rotate to things quickly because of the E range, plus, of course, Balmy Cinder and just general ZAC W things, you are going to be able to farm pretty damn quickly. And we're going to show you exactly how to do that. And don't forget, all the courses are now completed on Virkayu.gg, from Iron to Master Tier, everything you possibly need to climb to that particular elo. Diamond was the final nail in the coffin, and it is, of course, the one that we just finished last week. So if you want to improve, climb as fast as possible and have all the information in these videos across all my content condensed, ready to be distilled into your veins directly, the courses are the way to go. Video courses, by the way, not text, as well as a nice update to the free jungle improvement PDF, 100% absolutely free as well, all available on the website. Now, you would have seen here, interestingly, we walked by after finishing Raptors just to kind of shadow this because they were getting a bit lowish, and you know the Hecarim starts down here. He's going to sequence up and do a full clear, but Hecarim players also can cut and gank these lanes when they're shelved because he has Ghost, he has E, and then fall back to his blue side before or after transitioning to a gank on the top side. Now, if we are moving and we're paying attention to ourselves, so we see this ward die, we know we were spotted, obviously, which means we're kind of worried now a little bit about maybe we would be invaded. This 99% isn't going to happen against something like a Hecarim. However, it is something to put into your brain. So we can typically be quite relaxed about this. All it does do is give away our location, you see. So he's full clearing. You see the pings that were coming through. Okay, look, we know where ZAC's going to be going. That's all that really does. Against, well, when you're not ZAC and you're something a bit more prone to death without the passive, you know, Nidalee might look to capitalize on that. Ahri does in fact die to the Annie 1v1, that's why we were shadowing this, but we were forced out. That's absolutely fine, wasn't really gankable in that particular position. Anyway, our Jace moves down and wards this nice deep ward against the Hecarim, so he has time to react when he presses Ghost and Horse Rampage Charge Giga. Now our Nautilus goes in onto the Ezreal, we have the Senna as well in the bottom lane. Plus 200 years. ZAC will smite away that Scuttle Crab, 341. And of course, now we see this. We see the pings again from blue team, that information being given away. And, you know, despite the fact Jace warded, see, this is the thing, right? No one's blaming the ZAC for why this happened. We're going to go for the dive here. We've got a bit of a wave. We get the flash from the Senna, excuse me. Now, we've separated them. We'll snap them together beautifully. We'll flash and make sure we get that auto attack for the free kill. Beautifully done. Senna does, of course, kill Aphelios. And now we do passive. We're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Will we have enough? Yeah, we're fine. We're absolutely fine. She doesn't have the damage here. So, you know, opposite stuff, right? ZAC full clears down, does a ganking slash dive. The Jace pushes. The Hecarim does a full clear topside and gets a gank off. Jace TP's back, compromises himself a little bit. Now the GP will be able to walk back. We'll see what the ZAC does, but we know what the ZAC's going to do, right? The ZAC's going to go boom, boom, look to cut into here, or just do the same damn thing again. ZAC, likewise, he's playing it like a farming jungler. Full sequence, get level 4, 2 points in E equals better gank as well. Huge stuff. That's why we do that. So why is it that we see so many ZACs with low CSPM but not 7 to 8? You can match or exceed a Hecarim pretty damn easily, right? So let's see exactly how that's going to happen here, because this game, of course, is our 8 CS per minute game. And we want to see exactly how to do that while having 71% KP. All right, probably should have put that in the intro, but yeah, I'll put it in the title or something. It's huge, right? He is a farming style jungler when played properly. We'll kite this camp out, we'll get the burn tick plus a little bit of a slap from the Barmies. I like Barmies for this reason. People are like, hey, why do you recommend tank junglers take Barmies? Because it helps you clear faster, which gives you more golden experience, which helps you level faster, which means I can rotate to ganks faster. It's pretty logical to me. Now, we know Hecarim's going to be doing this. We know Hecarim's going to be doing this. The Ahri goes and wards this. So now when this shows up here on the map, now we see the Raptors are gone. At this particular stage, you know, going to respawn at 420, going to respawn at 430, 435 to 445, 420-ish. and then obviously 5 minutes to 5 minutes 10, and then we'll have like a 5 minute 25-ish over there. So this guy is now doing his wolf cam going up as expected. The ZAC's going to be doing the exact same damn thing, going all the way down. We have chosen to gank bottom lane, obviously, because we're not idiots. Well, he is now going to go ahead and gank the Jace. Now again, the Jace is not going to blame, and he kills the Ahri. We're going to scan. We have, of course, our E. We're going to get the double butt slapped together. And now Santa's like, well, I was going to go the other direction, but she dies. So absolutely free stuff. Again, 3 points in E already now. Obviously, it's level 5. ZAC will have free real estate on this particular Scuttle Crab. The Jace moves on down to ward again. No one's blaming the ZAC for this, I hope. The Jace cannot say, mate, I'm being ganked by a jungler, because we know when he wards here that he's thinking about the fact that the Hecarim's going up. So should he trade? Should he trade then? No. You have to trade relevant to jungle tempo. That's your job as a laner. If you want me to help your lane, dive your lane, fix your lane, gank your lane, do whatever, you have to be able to understand that I cannot be in all 3 lanes. And if I've chosen to go down and gank bottom lane for WinCon, and the enemy jungler's chosen to both upside and gank you for WinCon, you've got to play differently. You can't just shove it and be like, haha. You've got to recognize that you've got to trade relevant to jungle tempo, because Hecarim will finish his full clear. You will take that Scuttle Crab. He will gank you should you trade right then. You have to learn to contain yourself best you can and not die to that first gank. End of story. Now, obviously, I realize it's better and easier said than done, but it's still the thing we want to think about. Now, we know that the Annie has no flash, so we'll try without getting too close to the turret that we get stunned and then fisted. Obviously, we do have our passive backup only in 102 seconds. It's a long way to go, but we can reposition here. This is fine. See, now we have what in pocket? 1,000, 1,100. There's no real forced stress to go back to base. So you full sequence, do a gank. You full sequence, you do a gank again. You control the scuttles. We snack the dragon. That's fantastic as well. Now, we don't really want to go back to base just yet, but our camps have started to resequence already. So this quadrant will now respawn while we're going the other direction, which is fine. Why? Because the next thing on the map is this one. Bionto takes this one. So on this side, we have the Hecarim, who now, of course, resets, and we'll go and do the same thing again. Or cut, should he see something juicy. We'll have a look to see if he does, or if he sees anything. He might think that, hey, the ZAC could be looking to do the Herald. But that's unlikely, because we saw him gank mid lane. You know, is he on it right now? Unlikely, because again, it just crossed 8 minutes. So most likely, the ZAC is doing his red side, but Ahri's going back to base. Nautilus is going back down to the bottom side. Can I sneak this away? The ZAC is going to be like, hey, is the Hecarim going to be sneaking this away? Let me have a cheeky look. And of course, he was. Although, maybe it didn't go that far. Maybe it went as far as, hey, I just want to do it. Again, the Jace is over pushing. The Hecarim recognizes, hey, the ZAC's going to show up. Let's go in here. We get the flash Q, and then we can go bouncy, bouncy. We get the kill onto the Hecarim, and then we'll knock back the GP. The Jace will flash away, and now we can just keep auto-attacking, pressing W, picking up our blobbies, and hitting Q whenever necessary. We'll give one to the Jace, so he makes, you know, it's like, hey, you're included in this game, sir. Don't worry, I'm here for you. 64 CS to 65. 202. 110. Dragon. Herald. But Virkayu, ZAC is a ganking jungler. You can't farm as... It's because you don't adhere to the farming principles. I made a tweet about farming junglers and what you should do as a basic framework. I've talked about it quite a lot in coaching, courses, these videos, everything. Right? If you adhere to it, you'll have good opportunities. Now, the Hecarim has decided not to accept that this is gone, which is completely ridiculous. Asinine. Look, he sees the ZAC go across, most likely not enough gold to go back to base, so we'll do this quadrant going up. Because Ahri's resetting, he's not going to coin flip this directly. The Hecarim decides to cut in here, look for this without thinking about what the ZAC might want to do. Because the ZAC has prior, he can of course try and do this with Ahri coming back out of base. In theory, the Hecarim is now doing these, looking to go top lane. The ZAC can always rotate. The Hecarim would cut in, sees the ZAC shove, goes for the gank top lane, they lose a 2v2. Now the ZAC will take this for free. He's decided to go and contest this and waste time instead of just controlling his camps again. Now, again, the brilliance here, as I said, is because we did sequence 1, sequence 2, and then we decided to do the dragon, cut across mid lane, and take the third sequence in the opposite direction, these camps are now available. Which means we can now go back to base after taking the Herald and take this and gank this, and then give Herald for this, and everybody's rich, and I have a lot of gold, and so on and so forth. Also, that means these will spawn now, so that when I want to swap back to the top side, I will have camps spawning righteously, just for me. Ara is still inting, but we can basically finish up blue side quadrant and go for this gank here before the Hecarim shows up, because we kind of know he's going to be in the bottom side after showing up for the Herald contest. We're going to go in here. We're going to make sure we hit that E. We're going to make sure we hit the beautiful cheek slapper Q. Obviously the W procs, and we immediately ult all in one fluid bubbly motion to make sure we get that double kill. A lot of damage from the champion, and of course that's why I love this item still. You don't have to rush other things. You can just rush this for HP, for better armor, for burn damage, for clearing damage. It's absolutely huge for this kind of playstyle, which is why I've always recommended it and still recommend it on a lot of tanks, even though people are forgetting that it exists. Army Cinder helps. Now obviously we're coming out of the Demonics Embrace nerfs, right? That was nerfed for that kind of thing as well. So we just go back to this. You can get Radiant Virtue, you're unkillable, you still do a shit ton of damage. What are you worried about here? At the same time, 88 to 79. We activate this, we push this down. We've elevated the game state. This will be spawning. So now, instead of going Krugs into Wolves, Raptors, we go Raptors because we can cut down and look to do something here. Alternatively, if you basically are saying, hey, let's give up that dragon, you can go to the Krugs, dive top lane and shove that out. In the meantime, we do the Raptors for the intent of going to the mid lane to help our bottom lane, escort them to that turret and then do the dragon, but we also have Annie showing up randomly. So we'll shove her out, make sure we position accordingly, and we'll look at this RNG Scuttle, and basically we weigh the pros and cons, Scuttle Crab, RNG, or Dragon. Scuttle Crab. Also because no one's really going to go straight to the dragon, right? Like, they cannot physically leave. The map is pushed up. We've elevated it. We have people down here handling this with the Ahri pushing this wave out for vision. We've got our bot lane doing the same thing. We've got Jace with Pride. We've got wards. They cannot walk through all of this fog of war and map state to sneak away a dragon, right? It's illegal. So basically, we can afford to take the Krug value Scuttle Crab and then basically say, hey, bot lane, chill a second. All right, let's go do this directly, which of course we do. Now, from the Hecarim's perspective, he's been neutered, right? He's, like, his sequencing was fine. His early ganks were fine. But the cut to the Herald, the losing of the 2v2, to going back to the Herald for no particular reason, lost him a lot of farming and experience tempo. Now, of course, the Ahri is getting benefit from this. So the lesson here as well is if you can understand the enemy jungler's game plan, because it's your game plan, except you're going to execute it way better. He only thinks about the first two rotations. ZAC was thinking about third rotation objectives, flow tracking, and if you have an inter like this, you just give them that relaxed outlet, right? The Ahri now has 4,000 gold to Annie's 4,400. What would that be if she was stuck in mid lane, had nowhere to go to farm? I always enjoy watching that pissed champion die. Thank you, worst ZAC, for killing another Gangplank. We'll put that on the whiteboard of tracking Gangplank's death. You know, what would she be like if Hecarim was able to freely take Herald and freely die and freely go mid lane to push this out? You know, like, your inting lane could be so much worse off because you don't know where to exert opposite pressure, or you haven't exerted the right amount of pressure yourself anywhere, which is typically the case. When you're complaining about inting lanes, it's not that you perhaps could have done something about it. It's that you don't give any lane that kind of attention to detail that the ZAC gave the bottom lane. Or the Hecarim in his defense did give to the top lane, although that was Jace's fault as well. The Hecarim is semi-trolling at this point. Obviously here, use the nooks and crannies for max range ease, but water there, so they kind of are a bit suspicious about this. They want to go back to base. There's nothing on the map now to do. This is a good place to be in the mid game. You've elevated the game state. There's nothing else to do. Warded here. You can look for picks. You can push into the jungle. You can shadow the Jace. You could just go split push if you're that way inclined. But don't be out of position when your bottom lane goes back to base. They're not here. Nothing to do doesn't mean stand still and, you know, don't do that. Look to get deep vision and control, but of course they see us. So what we should do is just kind of try and scan up and clear as much as we can. Get some vision denial going when a bot lane comes out of base. Now we can fight with their fresh atomization. So this is a little bit of a wiggly moment, but not entirely avoidable. Does happen. A bottom lane can just push the mid lane. A lot of people here will complain about, hey, ADC, why aren't you rotating to save my life? Yeah, but you should be fed enough that you can 2v2 at this particular stage. If you cannot 2v2 at this particular stage, you are not fed enough because you didn't play the early game properly. Now our bottom lane do rotate when they can see the cleanup kills, and it's a good time to do so because they took the mid lane turret, and now we have a bit of pressure to do so. And then guess what? We can fall back to the second Herald as well. Ooh, nice charm. I was gonna call her Faker, but then I realized and remembered she's 140. And of course, the Hecarim still didn't die, so... No, we won't be doing that. Unlike that Galio we had the other week in one of the games. That guy was a beast. He earned his Faker nickname, 100%. We'll fall back to this, obviously. That's just part of the mid-game strategy of being a good jungler to close games out. Now we want to shadow and support our bottom lane. We have the Ahri for split push. We have the Jace for split push. It's a 1-3-1 setup. We're part of the 3, not part of the 1. If you're Nocturne or your team are trolling or you're a Rengar and all your lanes are inting, even if you did help them, then you become one of the 1. But of course, you have to understand parallel pressure, excuse me. Don't push to this turret when your team is here and here. Now you got like this oblong shape, you know? So I spoke about this quite a bit in the Diamond course, because Diamond players, if you want Masters here, you've got to start to really elevate how you view map pressure, back timers, gold resets, experience, farming tempo in the mid game as well. There's a lot that comes together to really make you a truly high elo jungler. It's not just the early game. As much as the early game is jungling, you know, it's not like where you can just wait for a good team fight. You've got to be able to keep the pressure, or challenger and high elo junglers will destroy you. That's why you see some throws. Well, they do also, of course, happen, right? Not everyone plays perfectly, and enemy teams are allowed to make plays, so it's not some sort of exact science, but you want to be trending in the right direction. You see your team going here, we're going to do the Giga Slap, we're going to kill the Ezreal, and he's up here, GP's up here, we've now killed their bottom lane, our Nautilus is in base, Aphelios respawns, you know, we can go for the pressure here, we can push this up as well, we've got the Herald, you're seeing this, right? But because they have 2 dead, we're doing this. If their whole team is available and our team is not available, we don't want to be in a situation where we can now get engaged on 5v3. So, again, understanding of that pressure, but it's got to be continuous. We'll take that turret with it. That's nice. We have the red buff spawning. That's also nice. Hecarim's like, can I check my jungle, please? And in reality, we all know he's never getting back in here. He's going to be starved out. And it's all because ZAC had a really good application of the early game farming principle, played a farming jungler game plan, spam ganked the lane he needed to, took the objectives he needed to, tracked the Hecarim and played around the fact that they were going opposite, and then cut his clear from top to bottom to top, right here. They gave him this play. Resets, takes his quadrant, makes a play here. That's it, right? Really simple framework, well executed with a champion that allows him to do so. 152 CS, 174 in the ante, and he's the only champion in the game with more CS. And we did not perma split push. We just denied, sequenced, took objectives, held waves when necessary, and of course, got some taxation accidentally with our Bombi Sundown's on fire. So this, I mean, this is a great example of why ZAC, you know, if you have 5 or 4 CS a minute average on this champion, you're probably not ganking well. And I mean that in a very literal sense, because even though it's easy to gank with ZAC from those ranges and angle of approaches, if you only have 5 CS per minute and don't average like 70% KP, what ganks are you taking? Because then your ganking recognition is off, or your execution is off, or both are off. Typically that's the case as well as you go down the elo ladder. And this was a case of, hey, I'm going to farm, take highly effective and well-executed ganks, continue my sequencing in between that, rotate where necessary to counter ganks, and of course, secure objectives. As we see the Hecarim and the whole team run down to the Jace, who cuts, sees, and now most likely will die. There's no Baron for us to deal with. We're scanning the top side here. That's fine. The Jace kind of over pushes a little bit. You know, we see it. That's the most important thing here. We see it. We know it's happening. Should he have pushed up? No, he should have just disengaged this way. But discipline cannot be taught in that regard. Dax sees the Hecarim out of position. For some reason, the Hecarim also doesn't want to commit any sort of disciplined approach to the game. Really a great way to shut down a Hecarim. Big ZAC, play it like Hecarim, path better than him, make better executed ganks, pick the right lane to win Conova, and you'll notice your sticky, blubbery self controlling the outcome. Now obviously they're going to leverage their 1-3-1, because how do you beat a 1-3-1? Well, you take your 5 and you just fist it, but at the same time, when they don't have 5, and they're desperate, they're just going to push this up as much as possible. So what we can do is exactly what you're seeing. They did it before I could say anything. Fall back to the Baron. Take this because Jace will push this out. Ari can now TP as well. Burn it, burn it, burn it. If you cannot do it quickly, don't stay on it. I see this too much. Everyone stays on it. Look, the whole team is thinking the same thing. Okay, look, we see them arriving. We know they're coming. We cannot burn this quickly enough. We don't want to coin flip it. Let's go. We have a ZAC. We have a Nautilus who goes in. The Nautilus takes a hit. He dies. We're able to kill the Annie. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to do. We now have E up again on low cooldown pretty much at this particular point. Ezra will have Arcane Shift, but it don't matter because he dead. We can push this wave. We have passive. We have the GP half HP on the top wave here. Philios is like, I'll take a Grump. It's the most ADC thing I could imagine. Hecarim's like, are they back on it? Can I do something about it? No, you cannot. Jace does kill Gangplank, so Hecarim's probably like, hey, can I at least kill the Gangplank maybe? Or can I maybe steal it? The Ahri is zoning to kill this. We don't need many more people to do this other than us. Hecarim's gonna go in way too soon. Guy, where's your sense of time? Buy a watch. And now we can go ahead and burn this one down. I mean, that's exactly what you want to do in those situations. I see it way too much. Where people just point flip that Baron. Like, two people want to finish, two people turn, and the junglers are quite often the ones who stay. Just turn, ping it, especially as a tank. The Nautilus and you go in, you have enough damage to make your team realize, we can follow that. You know, that's kind of what you want. You want to give them a very obvious visual cue of, hey, we're turning and we be killing these motherfuckers. You don't want to be you don't want to be I don't know, what's a useless jungle? I mean, Maokai is great as well, but imagine you're a tank jungler and you don't do as much damage as ZAC because, one, you're not ZAC, and two, you're behind on experience and gold, and you make this turn, and it's just like, well, I guess I'm dead because you engaged so far away from your team. In the ZAC's case with the Nautilus, they both engage in turn because it's the right play, but they just do so much unholy damage because they're far ahead and they cannot be killed. Their team sees this as, oh, yes, we can follow that. And that's really the low elo perspective, right? I'm taking the low elo perspective from this. High elo, they know they can turn without having to have the damage come through, but it does help. Because when you put someone in kill threat or chunk them enough that a carry can see maybe another kill, they are predictable. They just want it. They'll just go for it just because it's there. And obviously now we're flanking here. We see that Ezreal will just become assassin here. We'll use our smite to get the slow. We'll bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. We'll force his flash as well. We'll just wait for the... again, another flash auto. We have E up again to get out. We see the Annie out of position. We'll cut her off from the center. We'll clap some cheeks again. No, we do not. We have the charm from the Ahri. Nicely done. Now we can E back in. Whee! Boink. Hello. He was up. Hecarim is up as well. We're level 15 to his 11, so we're really far ahead. Yeah. Farming jungler style, my friends. High KP, high CSPM, good objective control, 4 CSPM lead. Damn. That's it. Now, obviously, there's a dragon spawning. It will be Soul. You don't have two. They will have Annie and everyone respawning. Taking this inhib just gives them free golden experience if we take it and shove it. So let's not take it, even if we could. I mean, if you could, you probably should, just in general, but in this game, it should be over. In theory, this is not terrible because you could fall back to this easily. You get the soul, you reset for one final buy, you still have Baron. Now we shove up, end the game. We don't really need the inhibitor to be down for any sort of dragon or Baron snack. We don't give them any freebies. You know what I mean? You can see both sides of the coin when it comes to the inhibitor snack concept. Now, obviously, we have 12k, excuse me, at the microphone and 1100 in pocket, but we have a cloth armor, and this is something I spoke about in a Vi Diamond Jungle coaching, there we go, the other day, well, the other week. What happened was the Vi was doing super well. Great game, solid, it was a live coaching followed by a VOD review, so like the total package one. And basically, we're looking at this live, and they do a very similar thing here where they have the lead, they're doing well, but it's still close enough that it could be swung by idiot decisions. He wanted to go back to base to go ahead and get Hysterics gauge for Vi. However, he didn't have enough gold, so he was going to do the Krugs, Raptors, maybe get enough gold, then go back to base. But because he did the Baron into the shove into the Krugs, his whole team had already come out of base, spent, and ready to go. Him going back to base here would be grief, because now they have a 5v4, and who knows what happens when you take yourself out of the equation, especially when you're fed and strong. So I said, no, stay, because your team are going to want to push. You have Baron. You know, a fight will develop. You want to be there for this, and are you strong as you are? Yes? Okay, then there's no reason to go back to base. Will we get noticeably stronger by going back to base? Like, do we have 10,000 gold, 5,000 gold in pocket? No. It's 1,000 gold, 1,600 gold. At this particular stage, it's not going to make a difference. The thing that will make a difference is you being in this fight as an engager, disruptor, flying spaghetti monster, whatever it might be. The ZAC stays, because even though he's got 1,100 and could buy a chain vest, is a chain vest over cloth armor gonna do anything? I mean, sure, you could get an elixir as well, but, you know, do we need it? No. We're 16, we're so far ahead, our itemization is strong as it is, no one can beat us. Aphelios, my friend, doing ADC things. We're seeing Ghost Flash. Oh my goodness gracious me. As well as the Gale Force. The Jace is in the back line there, obviously. We saw the Hecarim, he died. You know, that doesn't, we saw that, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. 4v4 here, and that should be it. You know, imagine now that the Hecarim, say, just killed the Jace, like in your low elo games, right? Like someone killed the Jace, Aphelios had no sums and died from his misposition. Now there's 3 of your teammates down here, you're a base running down with your new, like, chain vest and elixir, thinking, hey guys, wait for me, and your whole team wipes. Now they've got inhibitors to farm, and you can do nothing but farm, and then you most likely die, then your team is respawned, but you're dead, and it just becomes this 10-minute to 50-minute loop of death. So this is a great idea just to stay out, all be damned, be with your team, make their plays, and if your team plays it well with you, you end the game, and if your team has a bad time, you'll be there to save them. So hopefully all of that makes sense, and you can see why ZAC is best played as a farming jungler, because farming jungler doesn't mean no gank. It just means that your ganks are strategically planned around your sequencing, such that you can make sure that they're effective and on point. Ganking junglers tend to spam gank, and even though they're always good, they can afford a larger failure rate of ganks. When you're farming jungler, you cannot. And ZAC, why are your ganks failing in the first place with that amount of CC and that angle of approach? Things to think about, but as you can see, 200 CS in 25 minutes, 17 out of 24 KP, no deaths, perfection. And as always, I will see you all in the next video.